I don't know if I can be heard, but I am decorated for Christmas. I saw a few movies lately. I'm going to review them if I can. I took a bunch of notes. And here goes it. Oh, who cares? Let me just do it without the notes. I've got copious notes for Aquaman and oh god, I took so many notes for the other movie though. What did I do with those? I watched so I watched, let's say first, I watched the Boy and the Heron. I watched it in Japanese. But I was having a bad day that day, so I really didn't pay attention. Um, I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. I did it on my letterbox, Ant Movies. One word, Antmovies. And then I watched a little bit in English. That didn't work out. So I had seen Dream Scenario after that. That was the day I tried to watch a little bit in English. And I did that review. So since then, what have I done? I went to see all of a sudden I feel like I hear a noise from the other room. I'm having that kind of a day. I just found a hole in my tooth. Different than the hole in the other tooth. I'm falling apart and anyway. But yeah, so my life is garbage. But I'm still alive for some reason. Yeah, so on the 21st, oh, I watched Finest Kind. I did do a review for that. I reacted to it. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Like I said, I took a bunch of notes. And Poor Things, I took a bunch of notes. I know myself. I don't have bad taste in movies. I know what the Oscar movies are supposed to be. I know it's supposed to be great. And I'm going to tell you right now, I liked Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom a whole hell of a lot better than I liked Poor Things. I am now 50 years old. I always liked movies. I became something of a film buff in my teenage years watching old movies on cable. Then I became more of a film buff around other film buffs. When I lived in New York, and then later after I came home, talking with other film fans on the internet. So there was a point in time where I agreed with the Oscars, sort of, not agreed, but I could see what they were about, like in the 90s for sure. I think something about The Lord of the Rings being a predetermined winner the year of Return of the King, like they weren't getting away with not giving Return of the King Best Picture for the trilogy, you know what I mean? I think that sort of broke them, and after that they didn't want to give anything to the big popular movie. But I could see what the Oscars were doing. Then they started to get to be about making a point or making a statement. So I just like anybody growing up thinking about movies, you think, oh, how great it would be to win an Oscar, and because it's the best of the year. And at some point as a film fan, you're just like, it's not even close. Most years, whether it's you agree with it or not, I think most people even the people who do follow the Oscar race, if you ask them, generally speaking, year after year, their favorite movie, with all their film fan snobbery, does not win Best Picture. It's usually some other reason. So I still follow the Oscar race. I still care about that stuff. But more and more, the things that are being in the Oscar race or having Oscar buzz are movies that I don't even think are very good. But they impress the children now, the kids on the letterbox. I do the letterbox, but I'm starting to be like, because I watch a movie and then I go to letterbox to see what people are saying, and it's that brigade of internet people who have ulterior motives for watching film, or they think that a single thing like great cinematography makes the best picture of the year, or oh, that movie, I don't even know what they think. But like if they saw something that was a copy of a copy of a copy of Clockwork Orange, they think it was brilliant, even if it was the worst version you could think of something like that. Like I don't want to mention that director's name, but there's a director who copies, like really copies. I know everybody. I'm not talking about uh, the kind of people that might think I'm talking about. There's one director who I don't like, who like he made that movie Drive, so you know who I'm talking about. He copies. He copies the style, and he doesn't like do homage, and he doesn't like take a thing here and take a thing here. He copies, and he passes it off as brilliant and shit, and it's like, but you don't even mention, you know what I mean? So I don't care if people borrow and stuff, but when they don't even mention, then there's an issue for me. But the kids can't tell the difference anymore, and they don't care. Something looks great to them or seems great to them, and it could have a bunch of mess, and it could be really derivative. It could have a bunch of mistakes. The cinematography could be off, but it's quirky or something. So that's where I'm coming at with Poor Things. Let me go get my notes if I can find them now, because I had a day of having to dump my purse and do all kinds of stuff looking for my keys. My life's not going right. Put it that way. We'll see let me see if I can find it. Hold on. So I buy all the index cards. I've said this before, but quite a few times, but the last 2 times I show up at the movie theater. Well, so I've got napkins. I've got 2 sets of napkins. This is today's rewatch napkins. These are the Poor Things napkins. And I bought a notebook for like a couple cents at Walmart when I realized I didn't have my other notebook. And then I ended up having to write I don't even know what movie this is. Some notes. I thought this was AQUAMAN. Baby sonar, so this is obviously it. What does that say? Okay. So, what I'm going to do, I saw AQUAMAN. Then I saw Poor Things. I saw AQUAMAN in 3D. Then I saw Poor Things. Then I saw, and show you what's on Saturday Night Live, just so you can see why it's a repeat Saturday Night Live. You know what song that is, right? So I always have the TV on in the background muted, but so it's their Christmas special or whatever. So yeah, so I'm gonna do the Poor Things first. I'm gonna stop this though and make sure this is actually recording, because the day I've been having. Okay, so basically it looks like it's working. So yeah, of course. So this is these are the, listen to them. These are the napkins. AMC. I actually did eat my popcorn. I got my birthday popcorn and my birthday soda, and look. It's the principle of the thing. It costs a lot of money. No, it's not just, I can't afford that. I can't afford the popcorn and the soda there. But I wouldn't buy it anyway because of the principle of the thing. But also, that giant soda, I drank the whole thing. I'd pee all day. And then the popcorn, I didn't even make it halfway through. And I felt like I was dehydrated from the inside out, like all the salt was sucking the life out of me. So, I mean, popcorn's not a good thing anyway. I don't know. I mean, it's okay sometimes. There was a point where I was eating it, but trying to. So these are the napkins. So I get there and I realize I don't have any index cards. So I go and get some napkins to write on. Okay, here's page 1, page 2. Number 3 or 5. That's a 5. So where's page 3? Tell me I lost page 3. Unless I flipped it over or something. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So there's clearly a page missing. How did I? Because I got them folded up. So well, page 3 is missing. Love Lies Bleeding looks good. What else did I see? All of Us Strangers. I'll go for Jamie Bell. Okay, then it starts as 20th Century Fox TSG. TSG is basically the Chinese company, right? So that's that. She Jumps. Black Heart. I'm reading through my notes. I'm just going to read them. I didn't like this movie. Those sleeves look itchy. Willem's even gorgeous from the back. So you see Willem Dafoe walking from, the camera's walking behind him, right? And I write this down. And then I'm like, oops. Because when they turned to put the camera on his face, he's all messed up. What was in that Burt bubble? Okay, he's Burt Bubbles. And I'm like, see, I don't even ask. You know what I did? I don't have a thing, so if I squeeze it, it goes on. But yeah, there was something in those Burt Bubbles, which I'm like, okay, this is already trying to be David Lynch so hard. It's half Elephant Man. This is like the first couple scenes. It's like part Elephant Man, and then those Burt Bubbles were like the bubble that Laura Palmer was in. Wasn't she in a golden bubble? And Bob was in a bubble in Twin Peaks: The Return. So I'm like, yeah, you're not David Lynch, okay? Now, the Yorgos Lanthimos, whatever his name is, what's his name? Anyway, so The Lobster. We all liked The Lobster. Killing of a Sacred Deer was okay. What else did he do? I looked it up the other day. The Favorite, I didn't like The Favorite at all. I know it got nominated and everybody was in love with it. I didn't like it. They were like, ooh, they use natural lighting. I'm like, yeah, okay, so I can't see shit. It looks just like it does in here. Well, this is obviously not a film, but yeah, so it has a similar effect of looking crappy. But as I said, I bought this. This is a webcam that I bought 2 years ago. I bought a new one. I haven't used it yet. But this is a webcam I bought 2 years ago for less than $20. I don't know these are the movies. But yeah, The Lobster was fine. The Lobster was good. Killing of Sacred Deer was fine. The Favorite, I didn't like it all. And this Poor Things is more towards The Favorite. So whatever quirky crapola is this man's flavor, it's his what's the word I'm looking for? I want a better word than style. It's his brand is not okay, it's more not good than good in my opinion. Like I said, quirky for quirky's sake, or whatever this is, weird for weirdness sake, whatever this is. And then there was a bunch of sex scenes, so I'm like, I bet this really impresses 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. You know what I mean? People who, woo! I've never seen a movie with, they didn't live through the 80s. They didn't see, every movie had sex scenes, but the sex scenes back then were nice, drapes blowing in the wind. Take my breath away. You know what I mean? Or some nice elevator business. But, and it looked cool. It wasn't this pseudo porn or whatever it is. And, So she's acting like, spoilers obviously, she's acting like a baby in a woman's body, and then she's just being gross. And it's like, okay, here you go. So she's in the house doing stuff on her own. Then at some point she decides she wants to do stuff with people. First they're going to betroth her to the I guess his assistant. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, would you let a baby get married? Because this is like going towards I Am Sam territory, where you're like, that was what it was called, right? I was like, that's not this movie about this. That was Summer of Sam. I thought for a second I was saying the wrong thing. You get into I Am Sam territory where you're like, well, how responsible can this person be? You know, so because she's basically got a baby brain. And I was saying at that point where she was going to be betrothed and then she was running off with Mark Ruffalo. I'm like, how old is her brain though? I don't care how old her body is. How old is her brain? Now look up. I am one of these people. I don't even get into the whole woke thing. I don't get into the predator thing. I'm not one that does that. But if people are going to act like that's an issue, then you have to say, well, this could be a little kid. A little kid, which is what pedophiles are, people who want to do sex things with little kids, prepubescent. That's what pedophile really means. So when you got a grown adult man who finds a 16-year-old attractive in that way, I don't see them as the problem. I mean, it's not, maybe young people aren't completely, they don't have their wits all about them and making certain decisions about their whole entire life. But if a grown man is attracted to a 16-year-old who looks exactly how she's going to look at 25, I don't think there's something wrong with him. But if somebody finds somebody who hasn't gone through puberty yet attractive, you got a problem. There's something wrong with this person. Now, then there's the whole brain capacity. And I'm sure that there are teenagers who are much more mature and intelligent than some senior citizens. You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of different ways of gauging. But in this case, in this movie, she's walking around like a baby. 2 seconds later, she's doing a lot of furious jumping with Mark Ruffalo. And I'm like, okay, so who loves the movie? The same kids who scream Predator. The minute they find out some actor who was around in the 80s was out there, picking up 16-year-old groupies or something. So, it's a stupid world we live in, but that's the case. But in this case, this is, she's walking like a baby. Next thing you know, and they're going to say, oh, well, she was experimenting, but she was still a baby. Oh, pie in the towel. My mom always, for the rest of my mom, every time, I gotta say it because it's on, John Malkovich is telling the story. He's reading bedtime stories, and not bedtime stories, just the night before Christmas and stuff, and he interrupts it.
You know what they say about hopes, they're what we cling to when reality has left us nothing else.
That's basically it. Yeah. So he's telling the kids horrible things. But, so, after this came on, my mom forever called him, John Malkovich, Pie in the Towel. So, yeah, so she's a baby walking around. And this is what I'm saying. John Malkovich has been in a million quirky movies, intelligent movies. They weren't pandering to people who can't tell the difference. Like, if there's some weird shit, it doesn't make it brilliant and avant-garde. Weird shit for weird shit's sake is not brilliant. That's why I was like, you're not David Lynch, bro. Okay. And then the moral of the story ends up being that a child's brain in a woman's body ends up becoming a prostitute. So that to me is the moral of the story. Um, where was I in my note reading? Okay, so too many people are trying to be David Lynch. Yeah. And what a very pretty R word, he said. I thought that was an interesting quote. I liked it. Squish, squish. What the hell? She was squish, squish, and she was grabbing the, and I was just like, she's very much that. I don't know that she's pretty, though. I was sitting there going, do people think Emma Stone's pretty? I thought they liked her because she was a guy's girl. I didn't know that she was supposed to exactly be pretty. I don't know. She's got the stupid kind of eyes that I have. The, what do you call them? Heavy lids or whatever. What is that? What is that duck goat? Dr. Moreau. So you've got Dr. Moreau. You've got the Elephant Man. He's trying to be David Lynch. It's just like there's a lot of stuff there that's like, maybe if you've never seen it before, you're going to think it's brilliant. And then she's talking, every once in a while she says something in perfect English. Like a perfectly good sentence. And I was like perfectly enunciated and stuff. I'm like, is that an acting problem? Like when people are supposed to be doing an accent and they drop it for a minute. And then I said, he's making her stupid. I thought he was doing something to make her stupid. I thought this was in color. Yeah, I thought it was in color. When did it become in color? It did switch, and I don't remember when it switched. His dad was a psycho too, and then I lost page 3. Happy as two doves on a branch. Like I said, she kept saying things in perfect English. Then there was a chicken pig. She's being of free will. Disemotionality something. And then there was Fado. Yes, I missed a big part where she was Ruffalo. I'm not a Ruffalo fan. I was. Early on I was a Ruffalo fan. Then I wasn't. It was around the time of Zodiac, and I remember feeling like they were mean to Jake. Like, maybe specifically him, but I remember thinking, and I'm a Jake Gyllenhaal fan. So I was like, I don't know. She goes, I must go punch that baby. So then she starts just acting out. And she's practically Tony Montana. Which, again, these are unlikable people that I don't want to be around. And I have to watch a movie about them, and I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I don't understand the purpose of this. Okay, there's a bunch of sex scenes. She's a baby brain in a woman's body. What is this for? Except to be outrageous or something? Or supposedly outrageous? I didn't... Reason doesn't penetrate. Yeah. So he started to realize she was a loose cannon, which he didn't care about as long as he could use her. But then when she started to be a loose cannon who had her own free will, it was a problem, right? But I'm sitting there going, you know what? This is why I hate the world right now, because I think most people are just like her. Honestly, I think most of the people that I watch in the television, most of the people that I see in real life, most of the people, this is why I say I don't like humans, because I believe that most humans, maybe they enunciate a little bit better, maybe they put their sentences together better, especially compared to her at the beginning of this movie. But I think most people are exactly like her. Id monsters. They just id. They do whatever they want. who cares what happens to other people? But in her case, there's something wrong with her. And maybe it's that she's a baby and a selfish baby. I don't know that I was a selfish baby. I've seen plenty of like toddlers who are very nice and they share their cookies. You know what I mean? But at some point, I guess she's not like that anymore because she starts talking about her empathy. And I'm like, you had empathy all this time? So yeah, so that, yeah, so that's when I'm like, how old is her brain? Because would you let a baby do all this fornicating and drinking all day? And I couldn't understand why that's supposed to be all right for some reason. So that was page 1, 2, and 4. Don't ask me what happened on page 3. Page 5. The dancing does go to the music. That weird dance that she was doing. What's with the fisheye lens? He does that, right? This is like his thing. Even any director, when they got that crutch, they always do. Spike Lee has people float all the time. Even I love Tarantino, but I want to see a movie where there's not a bloodbath at the end, just to see if he can do it. He can constrain himself. Not that anybody needs to, but it's it becomes a gimmick or something after a time. But yeah, the fisheye thing. I'm never, yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it was halfway through, and I'm like, I'm never going to watch this a second time. Trap Bella at sea. So yeah, when he gets her on the boat, I'm like, oh, he's taking her out there. And she's like, you want to trap her? I'm like, yeah, this is how I feel on boats, which I brought up in something else. Oh, when I was talking about Finest Kind. Once I'm on a boat for like half an hour, I want to get off because I feel like I'm in jail and I can't because I can't swim. So I'm like, I'm stuck here for, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm trapped. And that's exactly what he was doing with her. And I'm like, I called him Carlisle. Is that Carmichael? Which there's something weird about him. Like, he's smart, and I used to really like the Carmichael show. But he's definitely, that was my stomach growling. He's definitely a nerd in the way he speaks and even does his dialogue. So it's like, and then I said, where did she get the contact lenses from? I feel like this is the second time I've watched her in something where she shouldn't have been able to have contact lenses. And she's got gigantic eyeballs, right? And then they put the camera all the way up her eyeballs. I'm going to see the contact lenses. If it wasn't her, it was somebody else in a period piece. And I'm like, contact lenses. Wally is another one. What the hell is Wally? Oh, when he was throwing the books out, that was funny. See, I got him and him wanting to be decadent and the old lady. I understood all that. But again, I can't understand entertaining this baby woman. Because why would you? Because there's something so wrong with it, you know? Or maybe there's something wrong with me because I'm seeing her as an object of pity, which I don't like to do that either, but an object of pity because to me he was taking advantage of her at least, and she technically didn't mind it, but I saw somebody else saying about feminism. It's exactly what I meant when I was talking about Bridesmaids and it being woman faced. The younger folks, or maybe even some Gen X, they have a strange idea that being a feminist or being a strong woman is acting as stupid or as disgusting as the worst kind of a guy. Hey, look at us. I can grab my crotch and burp and drink beer. That's feminism. Or that makes me a strong female. It doesn't. I mean, it makes you just as gross as guys. And it's just her just being like, oh yeah, I'm going to do all this stuff. I got baby brain. I'm going to do all this stuff. But that I think it is meant to be a female empowerment thing. It's like, but she's being taken advantage of because she's got a baby brain. Because whatever happens, I don't know how many years went by. If it started off a baby brain, it did not look like 20 years went by. Even though he still was doing a little bit too much overacting, Ruffalo did have the most interesting character in a way. Where's my page 6? I had it. Ruffalo isn't. Oh, he kept talking about, oh, you're just a pretty face, or he's just so pretty. If he wasn't pretty, I'm like, Ruffalo's not pretty. Maybe when you really meant to get another actor, and he was just the only guy left standing around that day. He's all right. He's not pretty though. If you wanted to have a pretty cat, then you gotta, that kind of guy who can, you know, charm women out of their money. They even sometimes they're not good looking. Sometimes they're those kind of guys that look like almost a model, but not really. But he's still not that. You can't say, oh, this guy, Mark Ruffalo, would show up and, older ladies would just be like, here, take my fortune. Because that's what a cad's supposed to be like, a rake, right? That's what they're supposed to be like. So, like somebody really good, like Brad Pitt, Rob Lowe, those kind of guys, or even like, yo, who'd be a good, I just thought of who'd be a perfect one, Colin Farrell. He would be a perfect, yeah. Money is its own form of sickness. I'm like, that's true. And then she basically gave it away. So now she's still got a baby brain and she's giving away all the money to those poor people. And I was like, what's that supposed to be, her Buddha moment where she saw sickness, old age, and death, and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And then so she becomes a hooker. I just didn't write anything for the longest time. I told him he should hug her neck, but and then sometimes it's blurry. And like I said, with the favorite, everybody was making such a big stink out of it. I'm like, it's the gimmick that he was using natural light, because then it looks like crap. So I don't know, but so she becomes a hooker, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And then the French girl said something to her, and I'm like, oh great, now vivre pour le meilleur. I totally said that wrong. It's gonna be stuck in my head. Vivre pour le meilleur. Johnny Halliday. Love that song. She doesn't understand the heart. This is what I'm saying. Was she just brain and no heart because the heart died? Was that why there was a black heart at the beginning? Because she was lousy, and like I said, yeah, there's most people who like her. And okay, so there was a movie, and she had a lot of sex, and I didn't see any great acting. I didn't really feel like there was, like, even like I said, sometimes she was a baby, sometimes she wasn't. It didn't, like, if she was gradually maturing or gradually leaving the babiness behind, but it just came back sometimes, and it's like, I don't get it. So yeah, I forgot what I gave it. I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's not Emma Stone's fault, because she's one of the younger people, and sometimes they think anything out there is amazing, or you know what I mean. And I just am like, I get aggravated with the overrated movies. I've said that before, so that's what this is. What else do I have to say? Should I stop this and just go into Aquaman, which I loved, even though a lot of it looked like crud too. Yeah, Ruffalo was fine. I don't understand what those burps were about for Willem Dafoe. Oh, I forgot the whole other part. I must have wrote another napkin. Yeah, I did. It's not here. The other guy, the good-looking guy who was the husband of the original, her mother. I mean, he's her father. And then they made him see that thing, that really, they made him like a goat, right? It didn't make sense. I think he was a goat, unless he was a lizard, because he was acting like a lizard. What's that man's name? Christopher Abbott. Oh, I thought he was somebody else. What did I see him in? I feel like I haven't seen any of these movies. Anyway. Interesting. Yeah, he was really handsome, and I kind of got his point more than everybody else. Yeah, I agree with the villain sometimes. I never watched Girls. So yeah, but at some point you had to figure the consequences were going to come in because they were doing all these experiments and then they were trying to get married. Whenever you like are doing illegal shit and then you try to do a legally binding thing, that's when shit happens. So but you kind of saw his point because as far as he was concerned, that was his wife, you know. I mean, yeah, he was awful, but apparently she was awful. But then why did she kill herself? With a baby, you know? I'm never going to watch it again. Like I said, it was ugly to look at. And the acting was over the top on purpose, so it's not their fault. That's what they were meant to do. But, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move on to AQUAMAN. So, AQUAMAN and the Lost Kingdom. I got to try to read these notes, but they're really scribbly. So yeah, Amber Heard. I really didn't want to see her in this. I was hoping they were not. I heard that they were still going to have her in it. At the time, I was surprised because we did not want her around. There's a scene early on. Spoilers for AQUAMAN and the Lost Kingdom. There's a scene early on where he's trying to do the diapers for the baby, and the baby keeps peeing at him, basically peeing in his mouth. And then he dodges it, and then she uses her powers over water to redirect the baby pee that he dodged into his mouth. And I said, oh yeah, so she wants her husband to drink pee, and this is the actress who in real life pooped on the bed. Yeah, which is why some people call her Amber Turd. And yeah, I don't need to see her ever again. But it was interesting that she was abusive in this film as well. Let's see what I've got here. I don't remember his eyes being that weird in the last movie. Yeah, I usually, and I'm gonna be all confused about what. Yeah, then there was a part where it looked like The Thing. The sound is low. I said that in this. Okay, so I saw this in 3D, and I keep doing this, and I think with movies like that, where they could like Ant-Man, Waspomania, or whatever, where you think, it was probably a good idea to watch them in 3D. This is obviously going to be a lot underwater, and of course you want to see Jason Momoa in 3D. I usually see the 3D first, and then I get a little bit confused because somehow 3D looks worse, so 3D is harder to pay attention to. I don't know why that is. So in reality, I should, when I see these movies and I kind of want to see them in 3D, I should see them regular first and then go back and see them in 3D if I want to see how it looks, because it's not that I miss plot points, it's just like especially when things are exploding and stuff, it doesn't look good in 3D. Oh, I can't read this. Yeah, but the sound was low, so I said to myself, well, maybe I'll eventually get to see it in the big room. I saw it in the big room today. The sound was still low. And I'm like, okay, I know they're supposed to be underwater. I think that has something to do with it. But then I'm like, okay, I'm listening to Jason Momoa. Um, you know, I almost called him Captain America. Oh my God. Aquaman talk to I accidentally squeezed it. Talk to his brother, Patrick Wilson, Orm. Now it's not going to unsqueeze. Damn it. But I'm like, I can hear Patrick perfectly. And obviously, as a big fan of his for a long time, my ears are tuned to hear for him. But, of course, Broadway actor, amazing voice, knows how to project his voice. And I said, that's probably what it is. So, because, you know what I mean? And Jason's just talking and being like, you know what I mean? But, that happens a lot. Brad Pitt mumbles all the time. And sometimes I'm like, that's the director's job to be like, can you stop that? Can you enunciate? But they're doing so much other stuff, they probably can hear him and don't think anything about it until later. And I don't know how much ADR people do anymore. I really don't. Additional dialogue recording, meaning if there's explosions and stuff and you can't hear what they were saying as it was filmed, they come in later on in like a recording studio and redo their dialogue. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying you don't know that, but just in case you don't, that's what I'm saying when I say ADR. And I don't know that they do that much anymore. So, but yeah, so I saw it in the big room today where it has the good sound, and I'm like, no, it sounds the same. I need subtitles. And let me say this, having said about, okay, so I like this cat. I mean, all of the DC movies, starting with Man of Steel, and it never stopped. The CGI, the computer graphics, especially their animated bodies. I call them rubber chickens. Still rubber chickens in this movie. The having to smash so many things in the crumbling building, smashing windows, computer generated, looks like crap. And it's looked like that consistently for this entire DCEU. I don't know why they're okay with it. I guess kids don't care. I care. So that's been a gripe at every single movie. Every single one. Even if there's not that smashing crapola, because it's like the building smashes, it comes crumbling down, and then because of the dust and rubble, the way they do it, it looks like, I can't say bricks, but the building material is coming down. It looks see-through. And it's like that building wasn't see-through. So, I don't know, but 3-man, what? October. What am I writing down? Or however you said that word. But yeah, so alien tech, right? Aliens, ancient aliens made Atlantis. It's gonna keep playing. Ancient aliens made Atlantis, and I'm gonna let it go. Ancient aliens made Atlantis, and that's kind of the theory, right? So, there was that Atlan that they're descended from, I guess, and there was a bad guy. I guess his name was Cortex, and it's because the batteries. I had to shove the batteries in because I don't have one of those. I had to finagle it because I didn't have an eyeglass screwdriver. So I couldn't really open it. So I just kind of shoved the batteries in, and they're not really in right. So, yeah, so Cortex is the bad ancient dude. And what I'm saying is this. Okay, the cast, I love this cast. I've been a huge fan of Patrick Wilson's since I saw him in Angels in America when it first came on HBO. Then, of course, in, Phantom of the Opera and everything else, I don't like the horror movies, but I watched like one and a half of the Conjurings, and I kind of looked at some bits of one of the Insidiouses, but yeah, unfortunately, for that reason, I haven't watched all that stuff. Fargo season 2 was probably my favorite thing he was in. But I saw him on Broadway twice in All My Sons and Brigadoon. And I don't have the money to go to Broadway, so when I haul my cookies, it's for a reason. Or when I did, I don't have any. That's something in the past for me. But when I did, it was because I really needed to see somebody. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. Going back like 2 decades at least. And then obviously Dolph. We love Dolph since what, like 1986? When the hell was Rocky 4? So loved Dolph. Like I said, watched Masters of the Universe probably 1,000 times. No, like 100 times or something back in the day. I liked Yahya Abdul-Mateen II from The Get Down. Nicole, obviously, we love since forever. Why am I just blanking on somebody? Oh, and of course, we like Jason Momoa since the first episode of Game of Thrones. It was the first episode, wasn't it? Or was it the second? Well, anyway, the very beginning, whenever that started. So, yeah, so I love all these people. Like, Willem Dafoe had been in the other one. Except, turd. But we didn't like her in the first one either, before we knew all the stuff she did. So, she's not. But everybody else we love, right? And then, I'm watching this movie, and they get to the point where they're showing the ancient dude and the bad scepter, or the trident, scepter, the bad trident, and then they show what he really looked like, and I was like, oh my god! Because it's, Euron Greyjoy. I love him. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. It looks like Pilu, Aspect? I don't really know how to say it, but yeah, I think he's amazing. Like I said, I fan casted him in my head in a biopic that just exists in my head as Simon Le Bon. If they ever did that. They were supposed to make a movie, but I was like, that guy. And then they didn't kill Mira. And I'm like, but why isn't she dead? She should be dead. Kill her. Oh, and I really liked the synthesizer score music for the whole thing, really, but especially, like, I think it was meant to be, what's the character's name? I don't want to say the wrong thing because I go to say it and I want to say Black Mamba, and it's not that. Black Manta, because I was thinking it was Black Manta, and I was like, maybe it's Mantis, and I'm like, but is it Mantis, the chick from? I was getting all confused, but yeah. So I really like the like his music specifically, the villain music and everything, and I kept forgetting that was Martin Short because I saw it the first time and then I watched it the second time and I'm like, who's that again? And this Randall Park guy, I don't know that I've seen him in anything else. I know he's on one of those TV shows, or he was on one of those TV shows that came on like every, like a sitcom or whatever. I was like, he's got the dweebiest voice. I don't really think I've seen him in anything else. But so my notes I can't read for some reason. What's with the eyebrows? Yeah, Nicole's eyebrows were really weird, and she had this odd bulge, and I'm like, what's the deal with Nicole? Look, I really didn't think I did this. Oh, so then, yeah, so I'm all out of order. So he goes and he gets Patrick Wilson, who was in prison, and they were keeping him water starved. And then when they gotta team up, and then he's running, he's gotta get to the water, and the water totally, inflates him. I was like, but I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool how the minute he got to the water, it was like, it re-energized him or resurrected him or whatever. And some of the things that the nicknames he was calling them, like Castaway and stuff like that, was interesting. But there was one that didn't make any sense to me. I was like, did Jason Momoa just make these up himself, and they left them in? Mm-hmm. Sunken Citadel. Yeah, there was a lot of Star Wars. I kind of like the idea of those undead things, but everything was very much Attack of the Clones. There was a lot of Attack of the Clones, which is fine because I really liked Attack of the Clones, and it was changed enough. Ooh. It was supposed to be like a Mos Eisley type place where they were there, and then there was the those beasts that they were riding, the undeads or whatever, that very much looked like the beasts. I don't even remember their name from Attack of the Clones when they went in the arena. Remember that? And what else? And then the John Rhys Davies character and the Martin Short character, they both were kind of like, remember when Obi-Wan goes to that diner and gets the information, and then the other one was kind of like Brian Blessed's character. I can't remember his name. The Gungan King or whatever. Yeah, so yeah, my brain, I realize I really need a beverage. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really liked the two of them together. I liked the brother thing. I liked the fighting. It looked cool. I guess I don't want to get it wrong. It's kendo. Is that what you call it? When, like, the Darth Maul thing, because they were fighting with their tridents and that kind of fighting, and it's more like we're really fighting. It didn't look like and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 like I've been complaining about, where there's no jeopardy. This looks like people who are trying to beat each other's ass. um there was, like I said, there was some funny stuff between the two brothers. I really liked it at the end, when they were like, he was almost getting possessed, but he wasn't really getting possessed. Orm. And that whole speech, it worked. Like I said, I saw it in 3D the first time. The second time I'm watching it in the big room on the biggest screen, even though it was a little bit low, I was like, this really is nice with the two of them, and it's swirling, and they got the trident, and Jason's giving him the speech, and he gets all still, and he's like, brother, and he's telling him all this stuff about, and then you get the flashbacks of them hugging their mom and take care of each other and all that stuff. And I meant it when I said that I wanted to, I waited all the time to meet you. Blah, blah. It was nice. It was nice. It was heartfelt, and it was lovely. And I like these guys. And if this is the end of the DCEU, that sucks, because I like them. I like those three dudes. And they made good brothers, and Ooh. But yeah, I grew up at a time when superhero movies were silly, and they were over the top, and they weren't supposed to be. Like, Christopher Nolan came in with the Dark Knight series there, and he made it realistic. And even X2, I gotta say, X2 was great, and I loved X2. And it grounded it in reality. It grounded the stuff in reality. But I was fine with it being cheesy. I was fine with stuff like that. So, Aquaman being very much Aquaman-y, not like trying to be, you know what I mean? Like, when they put him in the actual suit, my mom had gone with me, I noticed she liked that he was in the actual yellow and green. Why it's a little bit more orangey this time, I don't know. But, it's a good thing. We like cheese. I don't, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I really liked it. I'm definitely going to watch this movie many times over. That's what I was saying. Stuff like that, Poor Things. I don't know. Like, I know what's fancy pants. I know what looks like this, and I know script this and script that. I know, but you have to enjoy movies, or they have to be entertaining, or there has to be something to them. If you say, well, this movie is great and it's an Oscar winning movie, and then nobody ever watches it, like, again, like when I see movies like A Beautiful Mind in the cheap bin, and I know nobody's watched it since that year that it beat Moulin Rouge and, Fellowship of the Ring. I don't know what the Academy's doing. Nobody's saying it was a shit movie, but the people, the hoity-toities, they say, oh, this movie's so much better than those two movies that are going to be beloved and watched hundreds of thousands of times over by people all over the world. But this is Best Picture of the Year. When that shit started happening, that's when I was like, I don't know what people are thinking anymore. The critics and the Academy and the people who, it's like, you're not giving best anymore. You're giving the one that makes you feel smarter than everybody else, the one that makes you feel better. So for me, yeah, okay, CGI looked like crap. Yeah, okay, I couldn't hear it that great. Yeah, okay, maybe there was a lot of stuff that was like Attack of the Clones. I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. I love the people in the movie, except what's her face. You know what I mean? I was entertained. I liked it. It had gravitas, and it did, and it had, like warmth and emotions and hanging in there, and the things we're supposed to go to the movies to hear about, not just like, oh, look at this brave sex scene, look at this girl, baby girl act, you know what I mean? It's not trying to impress anybody, but I prefer that. I prefer a movie that's just, look, we're being entertaining. Look at these movie stars. Look at them being awesome. Look at them being brothers. Look at them having issues. You know what I mean? Look at this score. You know what I mean? So I told somebody I didn't like Poor Things, which they hadn't seen it, and that I loved Aquaman. He said, oh, you just want to watch stuff blow up. I thought that was so funny, because look, the best action movie is, if an action movie is the best movie of the year, all things being equal, you compare them all, this was the most entertaining, this had the best acting, this had the best quotes, this had the best stuff. I'm not going to pretend it's not, because it's not highbrow, it's not shishi poo poo, or it didn't have that, um, Oscar baity scene. That's why Barbie, Oppenheimer, this has been a great year for going to the movies. The movies. There's been some films, but I had a great year at the movies, and yeah, I don't care if my favorite ones aren't going to get crap. That's why I'm making my own pretend awards, because as far as I'm concerned, they are quality. They're just not. Sometimes their quality is much better. Like I said, that scene with him and Orm, there was nothing like that in Poor Things. There was something like that in Barbie. Um, some of the scenes with Florence Pugh, maybe, in Oppenheimer, but not with the wife, who I didn't like. Um, but it's about people, and it's about hearts, and it's about, if you have a black heart, go right ahead and love Poor Things and think it's amazing, think it's feminism if you're a weirdo. But I really enjoyed it. I don't know that I'll be able to go back, because there's suddenly, all the movies are coming out now. It's Oscar time. I'd like to see it again, because I really enjoyed it, and if assume I live, I'll watch it many times over. And Patrick looked great. He looked really good. And I always love when he makes a villain face. When his eyes go evil, he just looks so perfect. But yeah, all he needs to do is sing a little bit more. Do a sing the musical version of. I've been waiting for musical versions of these superhero movies with all the people who can sing and dance in them. What did I give it? I gave it a 8 out of 10. I loved it. I had a great time. I don't know what I mean. So I watched some. I saw a tweet or something where somebody's like, "I can't imagine people who liked the first one not liking this one." You know, and the only the problem is Amber Heard. You know, if you have big issues, of course I did, but I watched it around her. I watched it sort of around the CGI as well. You know what I mean? And once you're if you're able to filter that out, which I was, there's just a lot of awesome stuff that I loved a lot. So those are my reviews for the two movies I saw. The Color Purple and stuff like that is coming up. I hope it's good. I never saw the musical version. I'm not that big a fan of the movie. It was sad, but you know, it'll be weird to see. And something else is coming out next week too. Besides that, I don't remember what. Ferrari, I think. I don't expect to like that at all. I like Adam Driver, but yeah. So there you are.